Sean McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And we do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 15 hours, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, on today's show, The Entrepreneur's Journey, my guest is someone who runs in the same marketing circles that I do. We would have attended the same conferences put on by Mike Koenigs down in San Diego. Now, I can't remember exactly which event. There have been so many, but I know we've known each other for quite some time online. Now, three-time #1 best-selling author John North is a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. Now, John currently holds a number of titles, including CEO of Evolve Systems Group, Associate Diploma in Business Accounting, and Fellow of the Institute of Public Accountants. Now, John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic and smarter with their marketing efforts. Now, he constantly pushes the envelope of what's possible in this modern era and is widely regarded amongst his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Now, I've personally started to work with John on streamlining and automating some of my business and marketing processes, and I can tell you that John really knows his stuff. Now, you'll want to pay close attention to what John is talking about and take some notes of some of the systems that he's talking about and think of implementing them into your own business. And I know there are many people in the community of authors and marketing experts who are reaching out to John for his expert advice, so you'll want to listen to what he has to say. Now, but it hasn't always been like this for John. Now, he's had many of the same challenges that most of us have in our business. But what he did is figure out how to solve them by implementing systems and automation that took some time and energy to figure out. Now, I'm going to ask John to tell us specifically what challenge he is faced with in his entrepreneur journey that caused him to step back, reevaluate how he was doing things, and what he did to solve his problems. I also plan to ask John what are the 3 best systems he's using right now to cut his work time dramatically, streamline his processes, generate more qualified leads, and make more money. Now, through a previous conversation I had with John, I know he has one website that's fully automated. It's a fully automated process that's generating him approximately $500,000 US worth of business from potential authors. I'm going to see if he'll share the information about how that one website works and what systems he's using to completely automate that entire process. Now, you'll hear John's story throughout the next hour as to what challenges he was faced with, and you can see if any of them resonate with the challenges that you're currently having in your business. So stick around, because when I come back, I'm going to be joined by my friend and colleague, John North. Hey, and welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. Today is the Entrepreneur's Journey show, where I interview a successful entrepreneur on his journey through entrepreneurship. A journey that's usually filled with ups, downs, challenges, struggles, and if they've persevered through enough, then they have some victories as well. Now, today's guest will share with us his ride on the road through entrepreneurship and actually automating his business. Three-time #1 best-selling author John North. He's a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. Now, John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic, smarter with their marketing efforts. Now, he consistently pushes the envelope of what's possible in the modern era and is widely regarded amongst his peers as very innovative, highly creative in his approach. And I can attest to that working with John personally over the last couple of weeks. So please give it up with some likes, love, shares, a flurry of thumbs ups and heart icons going across the screen for today's guest. Welcome to the show, John North. Hey, John.
G'day, John. That's a good name, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So John's actually in Australia, and he got up really early for today to be a guest on today's show. It's, what is it, 6 a.m. there?
6 a.m. The sun's not even up yet. Oh, that's just coming up now.
6 a.m. Thursday, right?
Yes.
6 a.m. Thursday. So welcome to the show, John. And I know that you've joined in on a few different occasions. If you're up early enough or catching the replays, that you've caught the show on occasion. So What we like to do before really get too far into this, John, is interview with a speed round of questions. Now, as I mentioned, I know that you've checked out a few of the shows before, so you really know what I'm going to do is just ask you 10 questions so the viewers get to know you a little bit better, and just come up with the first thing that comes to your mind, a few words or a sentence. You know, it's nothing that you really need to study for. So, and what I like to do,
as long as it's no test.
Yeah, you're not going to be graded on this. What I like everybody to do that's joining us today is just enter your questions in along the chat. As I'm asking the question, just enter your answers and just play along with John. So we're going to get started. So number one, John, name the book that impacted your life the most.
Tony Robbins, The Giant Within You. My sister bought me a copy.
Okay. When you were a young boy, who was your celebrity crush?
Probably Sharon Stone.
Excellent. What is the book, podcast, or show that you're into right now?
Probably a lot of stuff, but at the moment I'm actually rereading the .com Secrets book, which kind of changed my life again the second time. So
okay, that's by Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't read that one yet. I'm gonna have to get my copy. I think you can still get a free copy, can't you?
Yeah, I
pay
got a
for
link.
the shipping and handling.
Yep.
Are you currently working with any coaches?
Not really. Most of my stuff I'm doing is courses, which I'll tell you about a little bit later what I'm doing there.
Okay. What's your favorite movie of all time?
That was a hard one, eh? Back to the Future, I reckon, just in terms of I can't think of anything else that comes to mind. Most of it, like a lot of movies.
Are you currently involved in any masterminds?
Not yet, but I'm talking to Everett about that.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, Everett was on a previous show talking about masterminds. So name the one person that is either dead or alive who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with.
I guess from the first question, I reckon Tony Robbins would be pretty cool to have dinner with, I reckon.
I think so too. What's your favorite type of vacation, beach or adventure tour?
Probably beach.
Okay.
Because I'm a fair way from the beach here. So.
Whereabouts are you in Australia, by the way?
We're in Sydney, but I'm sort of Western Sydney, so it's sort of like about half an hour to the beach, pretty much from here.
Okay. What's the best business advice that you ever received?
Double your price.
That's a good one.
I paid for that advice.
Yeah. Last question. It's a two-parter. What do you prefer, water, beer, or wine, or pizza, wings, or salad?
Pretty much all of it would be good.
just have a buffet of everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it all at once would probably be the way to go, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so too. So, John, just before we get started, can you give the viewers maybe the 2 to 3 minute version of your origin story, sort of where you're from, how you got started into what you're doing now, sort of that transition? Just spend the next few minutes just filling everybody in on the John North story.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Actually, the funny thing is I finished school when I was 15, so basically I got to grade 10 in Australia. So where I was in a small country town, I couldn't go to high school the next couple of years unless I actually went away.
Okay.
And so I decided to go and work in a bank. And I was the only person in the whole town that was smart enough to go and register at the local employment agency, which was next door to the bank. and I managed to sit the bank test and got a bank job.
Nice.
16, which the time I started in the bank, and I worked for nearly years. Learned a hell of a lot of customers and customer and finance and all that kind of interesting journey. But all the way through it, I kept on getting people wanting to ask for advice about computers because they'd just come out back in the 1980s, 1990s when computers first came out. So I became the go-to person for all the bank managers who wanted to buy a computer. And so eventually I thought I'd had enough of banking because I was actually not really getting any further than I wanted to be. I was in a commercial lending role, but my manager wouldn't lend any money. He just wanted to get it back, so it was driving me insane.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm leaving. So I'd already built up a bit of a client base doing computer stuff on the side. So I pretty much quit my job. Big risk. I had virtually, I think I had a few customers, probably 10 maybe. I was actually used to go to the park every lunchtime and on this $3,000 mobile phone make phone calls at $2 a minute or something. So I talk really fast. But anyway, so the next day, I started up, had 3 appointments, and that went like that for 5 years.
Okay.
And so every day I had 3 appointments a day for 5 days a week, and I sort of grew this business into a selling accounting software and computer stuff, and we bundled it together. And that's when I learned about recurring income, because I focused on monthly recurring income, which most people don't do. They focus on getting the sale and then get the next sale.
Yeah.
But I actually focused on. So we built a $1.5 million turnover business basically on autopilot, because we were looking at selling everything in one bundle and we charged them monthly for it.
Nice.
So it was quite an interesting journey.
Yeah.
But then the software we're selling, which was called Sage Pastel at the time, they were going through a lot of transition, and GST hit Australia. So GST was a new tax.
Mm-hmm.
All the businesses pretty much had to go for this new 10% GST.
Yeah.
It actually sent the whole country in a financial plummet. So my business dropped by 80% overnight.
Wow.
And nobody was interested in buying accounting software anymore because they'd all bought it. So they sucked the entire market out. So I thought, oh, well, what am I going to do now? So I applied for the job to work for Sage Pastel in Sydney. This is how I actually was in Cairns at the time when I was doing all this. Worked to Sydney and basically took 6 months to get the job. When I got there, I worked for them for 6 months. That was my only 6-month job.
Okay.
Over the time that I was there. And so basically what happened was they said, oh, do you want to take the business over, because we don't see a future in it. And I said, okay, I'll take it on. So we turned it into the second largest Sage distribution in the world.
Oh, wow.
Basically applying all the principles I learned from before. And then eventually I sold the business a couple of years ago and decided to get into something else.
Yeah.
And we got a business called Evolve Systems, so we pretty much keep evolving, as people keep saying. And so I started marketing, and I thought I'll start doing some marketing for clients, because we had all these different solutions. And so we built a $500,000 business in about 3 months.
Right.
Again, charging monthly. And then along the time, we realised that publishing, and I went to one of Mike's things at the time and got into book publishing. And so we started really focusing on that, because that was the quickest way for a client to get a result, in my opinion.
Okay.
And we did about 20 odd books in the last probably 18 months. I think we're up to 25 now, plus 3 books of my own. So that's the short story.
Quite the journey in that short little story there.
Yeah.
So how is your time in your previous career, with the bank, with Sage, and the responsibilities that you've held there, how have they actually helped you into entrepreneurship, or helped you be an entrepreneur?
I think one of the big people don't get in a lot of cases is training. So in my opinion, what we used to always do is focus on more training. And one of the things the bank gives you is systems and process. Like, you can't in a bank without having a system or process.
Right.
An approval process. And that really taught me a lot more than I expected I knew about, because in the marketplace, most businesses don't have it rigid like that. A bank can't operate without a proper system. They get audited. I've been audited a couple of times while I was in the bank, and if you fail an audit, you lose your job.
Yes.
So it's really badly, and I've had to fix up a lot of stuff up. So I realised that that's something that most businesses aren't forced into, is processes and systems, and they tend to try and do things a lot of stuff manually. And so back before computers, it's all I had checklists and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I just convert the checklist to an automate. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I learned, is automation and checklists, and automate your business basically.
Okay.
Don't rely on and most things, 90% of what happens every day, you should be able to do that. If you're not, you're in.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm going to put myself on that list as well, that don't have all the processes or procedures in place that we should have to make life that much easier. I mean, if you spend the time and invest in it sort of up front, then you spend a lot less time on a regular basis having to deal with that stuff, and you're spending more of your valuable time focusing on the highest leverage activities, which generally are the ones that make you money.
Yeah, exactly. But the trouble is, you usually get tied up with all the minutiae of the business.
That's right.
And all the little problems. Yeah.
And that can happen very easily. So, John, let's discuss getting into entrepreneurship, specifically doing what you're doing now. So, talk about your plan to do what you're currently doing. Take us through that transition or the journey from, you were sort of looking after or heading up Sage, and then you decided to get into sort of the marketing sphere or the book publishing sphere, helping people in sort of that realm of their business. so talk us through that transition into true entrepreneurship, or the entrepreneurship that you're into now, and some of the journey that you went through there.
It was pretty interesting, because the thing about when I go back to my first business I started, what happened was I actually was working with a local computer company. It was referring me a stack of business. And so I got lazy. I got all this business and I didn't have to worry about it, and I got hundreds of leads out of them. Yeah. And then they decided to go broke on me. And then suddenly overnight my business was nothing. I had leads coming in, and I had to learn marketing really fast. And I spent probably $100,000 learning marketing back then, because you just couldn't go on the internet and search it. You had to go to courses, you had to buy stuff.
When was this? What years were this?
Oh God, this is 1985, 1990, 92 sort of thing. Computer just came out. It was like very expensive, and Google didn't even exist back then.
Yeah.
So the reality was that you had to go to courses, and these courses were expensive. And so I estimated $100,000 worth of marketing. That I did, and I still got it all. Half stuff doesn't play anymore because you've got to have a video cassette, so an audio cassette, and so I did the same principle when I got into the marketing side. I realised that I need to know a lot about it, so I probably spent not as much as that, but I probably went to about 60 courses or bought 60 different things, and really immersed myself in that information. So I have a saying: if I buy a course, I finish it. Right. Most people buy courses and finish it. Buy a book, finish it. Don't spend the money otherwise. And so that's what we started to do, really get ourselves into it, because we offered everything in the marketing. We offered video marketing and social media and all this sort of stuff. And to keep up with all of that, it's just impossible. So we started to kind of learn as much as we could and through that process. So what happened to me then is once I got monthly recurring clients, and I lost about 18 months ago. And that kind of, because I had a fairly business. And so I don't have this automatic mark. I'm about doing stuff, but I'm not alone. I wasn't, and that's what usually happens. You start doing the work for the client, particularly in the marketing gig, actually. Funny. Yeah. It's people who do marketing don't do their own marketing very well because they haven't got time.
No.
And so I thought, I've got to figure this out. So I thought, where's my best customer? Where do they live? They live in LinkedIn mostly. And they're not really LinkedIn. So I spent probably about 4 or 5 months learning LinkedIn completely, getting really into it, figuring out the best way. And then we found a piece of software that helped us automate it all. Again, found some sort of automated solution. I wasn't going to sit there and type in welcome messages every day, I tell you. So we kind of automated it.
I find the same thing with LinkedIn and Twitter, and people are following you, and you're supposed to acknowledge them, and it's just etiquette, right? You're supposed to acknowledge them. You're supposed to thank them for retweeting. And once your following gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it just seems more overwhelming. You spend way too much time just following up with people.
Exactly, and that was the problem. So we thought, and we were doing author publishing. So basically, we probably charge about $15,000 to do a book for someone, and I needed some book deals. I needed some book clients. So I thought, okay, let's go fishing. So in that 3-month period that we tested, we still do it, we viewed about 90,000 LinkedIn profiles. And you can't do that manually, I've got to tell you. No. And then we basically had I put on about 3,000 connections. I've got about nearly 8,000 now. And we put about 6,000 Twitter followers on. And so the idea was that we wanted to have an appointment. So the whole phishing exercise was take them to a landing page, get them off the system, into the landing page, book an appointment, talk to them.
So
and out of that process,
So you're basically solving your own challenges, because I was just going to get into what were the biggest challenges that you faced in your current business, and it seems like generating leads and sort of being able to follow up, those were your biggest challenges. Am I correct?
Yeah, and that's pretty much the normal for most people. How can you fill that bucket up or that funnel up and be able to manage the funnel and scale it? That's the biggest problem.
Right.
And then you get busy doing appointments, and then of course talking to people who are actually just wasting your time.
Yeah. So you can spend more time once you get the lead funnel, put some leads in there, and then some follow, and you start to following up. So when you're following up, you're not focusing on generating more leads, and sort of that sort of dries up a little bit. So once you finish talking with people, and 3/4 or more of them are just a waste of your time, then you've got no more leads, and you start back at the lead generation again, and it's just a vicious cycle. It's just a vicious cycle. So you figured out a way to just focus on one thing.
Well, yeah, it's about discipline. So what happened there was that, and I was traveling all over Sydney suddenly. All these people want to go for a coffee, all right?
Yeah.
And I spent like, I don't know how long, traveling all over Sydney. Got no sales out of it because what was happening was I was spending so much time running around. So I thought this had to be changed. So when we did the automation, when we welcomed them and then say, look, book an appointment. And out of that, we probably did, I think, about 30, 40 appointments in that month. But I decided I wasn't going to leave my office. And I made some rules up along the way. So what would happen is when they booked the appointment themselves, so an appointment setting program for them to set their own appointment, and they had to call me at the time they set the appointment. I wasn't going to call them.
Right.
And mostly, unless it's like a fairly, that I know is pretty big, I'll call them if they didn't sit there for 5 to the hour, call me, I just go and do something else.
Okay.
So I had some job to do if they didn't show up. And because it was, if they rang you, they were keen themselves. If they didn't make any call, well, then they're interested in the first, just something productive.
Yeah, if they didn't take the initiative, once they booked the appointment, if they didn't take the initiative to pick up that phone and actually dial you, then you knew they really weren't that serious. So you just went on.
And they were uncoachable. So if they're not going to pick the phone up and call you, somebody used to say to me, look, I'm not calling you, you're calling me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not calling you. Because the problem is, if you're not allowed to you're not even prepared to pick the phone up, I'm going to have a real hard time getting you to do anything.
That's right.
So that was a pre-qualification. That cut down a lot of rubbish. I mean, I got a lot of clients, along the way that probably didn't work out, but we managed to cut down a lot of the pre-qualification process simply by making them do a bit of work.
Yeah. So implementing these rules, this automation process into your business, you sort of not eliminated completely, but eliminated a great deal of your wasted time so that you can spend that time doing more higher leverage activities.
That's right. And also, your phone is the enemy, not your friend.
Yeah. So
what I found was happening was that a lot of people I noticed just pick the phone up as soon as it rings. I don't feel the phone's important unless, most of the time, 90% of the phone calls aren't important.
No.
So what happens is you get tied up answering that phone, and so a lot of people say, "Oh, geez, you're hard to get hold of," and I said, "That's intentional."
Yeah.
Because if you're easy to get hold of, you're going to spend your life on that phone, and you get nothing done.
That's right. So, John, we previously talked about some of the challenges that you overcame, and how that you overcame those challenges. So, what are the 3 best systems that you're currently using right now that have helped streamline and automate your business, and specifically, how are you using them?
Okay, I think I counted it up. I think I've got 4, so I'll have to be a bit greedy. One's a product called Agile CRM, which basically I spent a lot of time looking for a CRM product, and given that we used to sell accounting and CRM products, I kind of had some pre-knowledge, so I pretty much looked at everything on the planet. And this thing was amazing in what I did, so that was certainly integral.
So for those who are watching who may not know what CRM is, could you just explain that a little bit?
No, I don't think anybody knows what a CRM is, so it's all good. They're supposed to call it a customer relationship management system, or it's got different names for different industries. The reality is it's a way of it's like an autoresponder, but knowing more about it. So if someone sends you an email and then they send you back you sign up and they send you a couple of emails. Well, a CRM lets you actually see what's going on with that customer, what they're up to, and Agile's got, I guess, what I call stalking. Like, I think all the social media is advanced stalking, right?
Yeah.
So really, that's what this program does. It allows you to stalk the customer, because what you're doing is you're finding out everything you know about them before they come to you, and you have that appointment with them. So what sort of social media level have they got? Are they clicking on your links? Are they going to your websites? What are they doing before you talk to them? So that's probably integral to what I do. So I needed something that was going to do a lot of things. I didn't just want it to have a bunch of programs coupled together. I wanted something that would do the whole lot. So that was one thing.
Is there something that you could compare that to, that maybe a lot of people might know the name of some other comparable systems that?
Infusionsoft's one of them, which is, it's great for a certain market, but it's very expensive and it's a big take on product. There's been products like Salesforce. There's things like ActiveCampaign and some of the autoresponders that tend to be a little bit like a CRM.
Yep.
But most of them aren't really what I call a true CRM. They might even say it in their material, but they don't really do it. So, there's just tons of them out there. But I haven't seen anything out there that's sort of like, with $8, it's like between $8 and $70 a month. Like,
Salesforce and Infusionsoft and those sort of products are quite expensive.
Right. I think they're somewhere around a couple $100 a month, or $150 to $200 a month, I think. So compare that to $8 a month.
Yeah.
Really not much comparison.
The problem with CRM is the failure rate. I think the CRM implementations fail.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there, John. Could you repeat that?
80% of CRM installations fail.
Okay.
And I recently in the high-end systems as well, that number stands true even in the big corporates who spend $10 million
right.
on a CRM system because they don't implement properly. And that's part of that process. You've got to commit to implement, and that's what we did with that. So we actually became just family resellers for that product because we've got about 40 clients on it now. So in that scenario, that was something I can't live without. The next product we had was ClickFunnels, which is I needed something to be able to quickly build websites and not have to worry about, because we built like 100 WordPress sites for our clients and stuff, and they drive you insane.
Right.
Like it take you a couple of weeks to build a site, and now I can build a site in a couple of hours. And so that was really what we did. And part of that process was when we did the LinkedIn thing, this kind of ties together a little bit now, because what would happen is when we sent them from LinkedIn to our landing page, which I've got a link for where they can get my book for free, that link, that page is my $500,000 page, I call it, because that page where I give my book away for free starts the journey with the customer. So that's one thing people got to remember, and I talk to my clients a lot about, is customer journey. What are they going to... What's this customer going to do when they start with you? What are they going to see? What are you going to send them? Map that out. Because if you don't have a plan, the customer doesn't have a plan. He just signed up for something, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a plan. And that's the start of that journey with our customer. So once they sign up to that, I send them to a membership site. We start interacting. We start giving them heaps of information. We take them through a welcome process. And that was all the things that we did to actually maximize that initial relationship.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they're going, wow, you gave me a book for free. Like, my book's, one of the books there's like, that's a nearly 220-page book. I mean, we give it away digitally, but the thing is they appreciate it. They feel like you've given them something of value. And so once we've done that, basically just take that relationship on. So ClickFunnels was a big thing there that kind of linked into Agile.
Okay.
So that gave me the ability to manage the back end, really, and manage the front end from the website perspective. And then we moved on to somehow tying all that together. So I needed a billing system and a support system, and we use a product called WHMCX, it's called. To me, it's the best kept secret. It's like $16 a month. So I went on a big budget here, right?
Yeah.
I really went out there and spent a lot of money on this. But the reality was it's a huge product. It was used for hosting, but it's got all the billing and automatic reoccurring billing and all that sort of stuff built into it.
Okay.
So once a customer becomes a customer, we wanted to bill them seamlessly. We want them to actually pay us, which is strangely enough is a hard thing for some people. Like,
so
they don't really have a payment system.
Is it a payment processor, or
It's everything. It could actually be called CRM, but it doesn't really have a marketing. It's to a customer perspective, as a customer, we could support ticketing, and we built programs in there to do things like book royalties and things like that. So it's our back end that does all the billing and support.
Okay.
And again, it's a big product. It's usually used for hosters to host software, like host servers and stuff like that. But it's actually very good for even project management. So I got a complete project management system in there, all tied together. So basically, once they become a customer in Agile, so they've gone to ClickFunnels, signed up to Agile, and then we flip them over to WHMS to actually do all the money side of things, really the money and the customer management side.
Okay.
And then I had to have Ford in it. Oh, yeah, which I'm not going to tell you the name of it. But we have made a solution apply that's management process off with. And LinkedIn, we pretty much, every part you can do in LinkedIn, we do.
So, John, you're cutting in and out, so we didn't hear what that fourth one was?
It's a software program that we use in-house, and basically it uses everything you can do in LinkedIn.
Okay.
So, everything you think about everything you do in LinkedIn, like welcome messaging, liking, congratulating, viewing profiles, all that kind of stuff, basically does all of that en masse. So we're doing as maximum we can every day.
Okay.
And that really starts that whole journey off for us. That's happening right now. Right now, it's off doing work for me. It's signing, looking for people, connecting people while I'm talking. So that's the things. Having the business in the front and in the back end, and then when they're ready, they book them that a new client is with me.
Okay, so those are the 4 things. What we'll do is I'll put the links to those products that John talked about. We'll put links after the show is aired. We'll put them in the comments section, so anyone that wants to check them out can definitely do so. So we were just talking about the 4 best systems that you use right now, and which would probably sort of answer this question. Because we talked a lot about you actually, during my consultation with you, you took me to your website, your $500,000 website, and I went inside of it. And can you explain a little bit about sort of how that all works, the process, how you put that together, and just walk somebody through the entire process of what happens from a consumer point of view. How do you find the consumer? How do they land on that page, and what happens once they, take us through that process?
Okay, cool. Well, one of the things that we do with a client first up is they've got a bunch of things that are basically in their business. So they usually got a bunch of unfinished websites and all that sort of stuff. So we say to them, look, make one landing page, start somewhere, build a system. So that's what we basically did. So the free book offer that we give them, target people who want to be clients for. So basically we might look for authors, for example. So we'll look for business coaches. So we'll look for coaches or any professional people that are looking for, might want to do that sort of thing. So we find them on LinkedIn, we view their profile, they connect to us, we message.
Right.
Once they're messaged, they said, hey, can you get my book for free? Once we give them the book for free, they go into that email system. The first step of that email system is to welcome them, is to talk, because you don't know anything about them really. Yeah. You talk about yourself a little bit. That's what a lot of people don't do, by the way. They don't think, when am I going to talk about myself? Well, you usually talk about yourself when you first meet someone, right?
Yeah, like an indoctrination series.
That's exactly right. Although, don't do what I did and use that word in the unsubscribe description.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I didn't think I wanted to be indoctrinated. And I was like, well, that's not really good. So I changed the name to Welcome Series. Okay. Just in case I got into trouble, right?
Yeah.
So we welcome them. We talk. I send them to different places. I ask them to join me on social media. So that's your little intro, and that happens for a couple of emails. And then we move on to whatever the product they might have signed up for, or trying to engage them, trying to get them to pay attention to you. And you've only got a fairly short period of time for that. Probably within a week or so, they're going to get sick of your emails, and they're either going to unsubscribe, which is fine. That's they don't interested. That's great. Or keep going with it. And if you can keep engaging them, eventually they're going to drop through the funnel. And that's really what we're trying to do, is get them to react to something that they pay attention to.
Okay. So where do you find these people? How do you get them to your landing page? And once they're in there, sort of walk us through the process of them actually becoming your client. Because I know it's a multi-step process, but it's all automated. There's nothing that you actually do until they get to the very end. They're falling out of that funnel, basically with their money in hand, almost, to say, okay, John, please help me.
And they're calling you, by the way. So you, all the way through this process, as far as the customer's concerned or the prospect, they are in control, right?
Yeah. They
viewed your profile. Right? They responded to your email. They booked the appointment. They called you. Control. Mind, but they can stop at any time, so they feel like more comfortable with you. So your conversion rate's much higher because you're talking to people who are qualified. That's the major thing.
Right.
To find them in the first place, you've got to think about who your perfect customer is, what they call avatar or whatever. And almost nobody I spoke to has got an avatar.
No, they don't have it. Most business owners, most entrepreneurs are not very crystal clear when it comes to who their ideal target market is, what their pains, fears, frustrations, or ambitions are, or even how to frame how their solution is going to help them, to get to their desired outcome.
Yeah, and because what's happening is you're just trying to get everyone.
Yep.
So one of the things we focus in on is what sort of person I want to deal with. And so by automating all this process, we're looking for those people. We know who we're looking for. We're looking for people who are probably online, probably not doing very well because they don't know what, they don't understand the principles.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably business coaches or someone who's got some what they're trying. They're not
dumb people. They just don't have that done and set up properly, because it might be very visual people that are like start 10 projects and then don't think.
Yeah.
You've got to try and curtail those people and say, look, we need to build a back-end system for you, so that doesn't happen, in that you've got to rely on yourself all the time to do that business. So by bringing them through that process, welcoming them, talking to, you basically automate. People are full of cracks. The people that come at the bottom is hard to you of who you want. Most business is that. It's too hard in a water business, but an online can. And the other is build a social media following. And if you've got 20 followers on Twitter, please don't put your Twitter link on your website. That's one of my pet hates, right?
Yeah.
Because the reality is, as soon as someone clicks on that, particularly a millennial or something like that, you're gone, right? Their attitude towards you is, this person's no one.
Yeah.
Right? Because you put Twitter up there because the social media guy said do it. Get some followers first. Don't just start with none. And that's what we did. We targeted followers in Twitter as well. So Twitter's a little harder, but we basically follow people who follow other people. So, for example, if we want clients that are interested in Tony Robbins, we'll follow Tony Robbins followers.
Right.
Bizarrely, they follow you back. I don't know how that works, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
And then we message them and say, hey, thanks for following us. Here's my book for free. So every single time we do our main lead magnet, we don't have all these different other lead magnets in that campaign. It's just one to start. Because otherwise you end up confusing people. And then we basically, once you get a following, then you can push out other leads and other links and schedule those posts, So there's a lot you can do to make sure that you've got that awareness. And people say, oh, geez, you're on social media a lot. Well, I'm not. But it looks like I am, which is really what you want to achieve, right?
Yeah, you have the automated system that's actually doing this for you, that frees up your time to focus on the higher leverage activities, like setting up systems like this that are going to, make you $500,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I learned the other day, which is really succinctly put, people overestimate what they can get done in a day, but underestimate what they can get done in a year.
Right.
And that's what happens. They think, I'm going to have this system all up and running, and then they plan to do it all in a day or all in a week, and it never happens. And it took me a year to get to where I got to.
Yeah.
I mean, I can shortcut people. I mean, I think I did a client the other day, and I said, we've had 2 sessions now, and we're now 6 months in. Because all the stuff that I just showed you, it took me 6 months to learn.
Yeah.
I just did that in 5 minutes flat, because you can just jump ahead. And I think that's the difference.
And that's how, and from a consultant's perspective, that's why people hire you, because you've already gone through those challenges, those pains. You figured all this stuff out, and now you're positioning yourself as the expert or the authority in helping other people do very similar things to what you've already accomplished.
Exactly. Yeah.
John, we talked a little bit about what you did effectively to automate and streamline your business. As I mentioned a couple times, I'm currently working with you, but can you let our audience know who it is that you're helping and what are the biggest challenges that they come to you with, and how it is you help them solve that challenge?
I think lately, and it's been the last probably 3 or 4 months, the biggest challenge most people do is they can't generate leads. That they want to generate leads, and they don't realise that it's not leads they need to generate, it's sales.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is focus on building a system for them. So they've mostly tried a lot of different things. They probably got a bunch of different websites, and they've got all these confusion really. Like, we need to do an audit. We need to figure out what the hell's going on with their business so we can actually start again, but recycle what they've already done. So some people we can get it done really fast. Some people got to start from scratch. And part of what we started to do recently is I've decided to create a kind of new learning platform called Evolvepreneur. And the idea behind it was to give these people access to courses and a social environment. So it's like a social online marketing product where people can come and learn but also interact. So because most courses are very flat, you don't have any interaction. You go in there, you do your course, and nobody's there.
Yeah.
So we want to try and do that because we wanted to scale it. So we've been testing this process in the last couple of months where we'll take a coaching client on, we'll take them through the process, figure out what they need to do, and what I found is I'm just repeating myself every time I talk to them. So every time I talk to each of them, the last 5 I've done, I'm going, did I tell you this? Because I'm pretty sure I told someone this.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. So every single time, it's almost 90% exactly the same. But I can't do that for everybody. I can't only help so many people. So I'm starting to systemize that and develop that into a product for people.
so that we can actually, I can do 100,000 people can do it, not just 10.
Right.
And that's really what I find is that I go to a website, I see no call to action. It might look beautiful, but it does nothing. They make no money out of it. And then they just think, I'll do another website.
Yeah.
And that'll make me money. The holy grail, I call it. And it never happens. Like, they're just always building a website. They're never actually doing any business. And I think that's the crying shame. The amount of money that people spend or waste on that process.
Yeah.
That sort of like makes me mad. So that's really what I'm trying to do. I want to try and show them it's an easier way. What I did's not hard. It just requires a little bit of discipline for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Really, at the end of the day, you got to work through a process, and most of these people really struggle. I find them, you almost got to coach them through it, because they will sort of try and go off the rails on you. They'll try to stop it, because they think it's too hard. It isn't. It's just a process.
Yeah, and I'm a prime example of somebody who, I started with you, and I let other things get in my way. I still haven't finished the task that you left me with. My homework is still not completed yet, and I'm looking to generate some sales from the products that I have sitting there doing actually absolutely nothing with. So I just have to finish that process, which is looking like hopefully this weekend, and actually looking to invest more with you over the next few weeks as well to sort of fast track this whole process.
Exactly. I think it's important to keep on track. And I think that's the thing. We sort of like give customers a kick up the bum and say, hey, where you're at to what's going on. Have you done this? And I think that's part of the process is you've got to do it. But life gets in the way.
That's right. And so without naming names, I mean, you talked about your personal success, that $500,000 web page that's completely automated, that's generating you sales upwards of $500,000 a year. So without naming any names, can you talk about some of the successes of some of your clients that they've had, or that they've seen since they've implemented some of your systems or used some of your services?
We've got most of our really big success stories are probably published clients, the ones we've done books for.
Right.
And like we did a book on bunions. Like you want to be niche, right? This is niche stuff. We did a book on bunions, right? And I learned a lot about bunions, and I found out it's very expensive surgery to fix bunions, but you don't have to do it. So we wrote a book. I helped the client write a book fixing bunions without surgery.
Okay.
It actually got all the surgeons upset because they feel that they were losing out on on revenues. I think not just the fact that, because why not? If you can avoid surgery, why wouldn't you? Right.
That's right.
You can always try it. And so that was a very interesting one. So we built an entire campaign around that, and he's launching another practice and stuff like that. So, but that gives him a foundation for what he can talk to a customer about. That's what I call a conversation starter, right? Mm-hmm. You can give them that, and that's pretty much what the clients are doing. One of my clients, he wrote a book called Kids Don't Get Cancer. He speaks in front of about 500,000 people. That's Michael Crossland. And, at the back of the room when he finishes his talk, he sells his book and he gives all the money to charity. So it's quite amazing. And we've shipped like thousands and thousands of books in the last probably 3 or 4 months. And every time we ship a book, every time we do that, a cancer institute or the Camp Quality gets a donation.
Right.
And that's really amazing, because what I'm doing is every time I in a box for Michael, I'm actually helping someone, which is quite amazing to do.
Nice.
And another one was one of the most viewed LinkedIn profiles in the world. It's Chris J. Reed. His profile, it's got its own postcode or zip code. It's so long. It's huge. I've never seen anybody with so much. But the offers LinkedIn services. So we've actually, we did a book called LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And we're organically selling 100 Kindle books just off the back of search. And plus books being ordered all the time online, and we've got a free shipping offer now. And then we build a membership system for them, so then they can actually start charging money on autopilot.
Right.
And starting to convert leads. And so that success is have a book up or some way of starting that conversation, mm-hmm. and then move through that process, but then have a back-end system like for ClickFunnels. We can build a membership site, so we can build a whole funnel out for them. And if you go to my free book offer, you'll see that you'll go into a free membership site and you'll actually get a heap of content. That's really what it's about. It's showing the customer you can do what you can do.
Right.
and show them up front, because you really can't show them any other way. If they're not going to respond to you any other way, you have to show them up front.
So a lot of the clients that you have, you're implementing sort of the same systems that you implemented for your own personal use, sort of using that LinkedIn service, driving them to lead pages.
Yep.
That sort of thing, getting them to.
What I learned.
Sorry.
It's what I learned through the whole training process I did. After doing 60 courses, it all came out with the same thing.
Right.
But nobody really does it much. Like, you think, well, everybody would be doing that, but you'd be surprised. It's quite rare to find somebody who's got a great system, and all together. Like, they might have a great website, but no, you fill out a form, you never get an email from them.
Right.
You don't get what you fill the form out for. So there's lots of pieces that can break in that process without that customer journey and laying out that system. That's what I find is usually the missing piece, is that it's not connected together.
So did you map all this out sort of on paper before you implemented it? How did sort of all this transpire?
I've got a little program I found called Scrapple, which is something that's done by Scrivener, and basically this program lets me draw it out.
Okay.
And I always do that with a client. So I sit there with a client and I fire it up on their computer and we draw it. And because I'm a really bad drawer, I can't draw I never make it. I had never a career as an artist.
Yeah.
So my drawings are boxes and arrows, right? I think Russell Bronson's draws these great little images. The best I can do is a box.
Yeah.
But we draw it out and just show them the big picture and start connecting things up. And that usually makes a big difference when you visually can see what's going on. And mostly that's all you need. Like, most clients say, okay, great, let's have that.
Yeah.
And then leave it to us to sort it out for them.
Okay.
So get that done.
So you offer coaching services along with done-for-you services?
Yeah, so we have a done with you or done for you.
Okay.
Right? So in GSN, it's a bit of a combination. And often it starts off with a done with you and ends up being a done for you.
I hear that one.
Yeah.
I could be taking that same journey here very shortly.
Exactly. And I think that's fair enough, because would you pay yourself to do some work, right? So what would be the hourly rate for you to do some of this work? It's probably lower than you'd expect to get paid, so get someone else to do it.
That's right.
Whether that's an outsourcer that might have to do some work or whatever you have to do. Don't think you can do it all yourself. Part of that coaching process is to figure out how can we leverage what you've got in your business already to get these things done. Don't just do them yourself. Find someone to help you.
Exactly. Well, John, that's all the time that we have for today's show. I'm just going to close out. There's a couple comments here from Lockwood, as usual. McCabe looks beautiful but does nothing. Well, thank you, Andy. At least I look good. And this is the best Bunyan show I've ever seen on Facebook.
There you go. That's the book.
So make sure you get that Bunyan book from John there, Lockwood, so you can you can avoid getting surgery. So, like I said, that's all the time that we have for today. John, I personally want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your journey and talking to us about automation. Like I said, we'll post all the contact links for John. If you want to connect with John after the show, we'll have all of his contact links, all of his social media profile, as well as some of the stuff that we talked about today. Some of the different programs that John uses, we'll also put those links in the comments as well. I know John has those all available, so maybe at the end of the show, he can help me out and post those in there for me. So everyone give John some love, give him the thumbs up, the heart icon, and let's thank John for being on the show. And do me a favor and share this with all your friends on Facebook. And John, it's been great having you on the show, and I look forward to catching up with you actually very soon to get my project finished off. But thank you very much for being on the show, especially getting up early, 5 a.m. in Australia time and being on the show. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to be here and get to talk about all this stuff.
Great. So everyone, I'll be right back in just a minute with today's closing remarks. Now, thank you for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we talked with a successful entrepreneur about their individual journey, the challenges that they faced, the obstacles that they overcame, and what it takes to become a truly successful entrepreneur. Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create our own life, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and full of choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with each other. A great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Now, step one to reaching your freedom life is to realize you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frames to get from where you are today to where you want to be. While being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the common goal of helping each other move forward in their business. Now, the second step to create the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you your biggest return on your time invested, the ones that really make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses and specializes in these systems, and that can streamline your operations can really help you save time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, and get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time, and the end result, you're a #1 best-selling author, you have a successful podcast, and you have enough content to get you seen, heard, and noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device, automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. To find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint, my coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website, johnamccabe.com, or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now, again, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.